So today we continue on in Romans chapter 15. Let's look at verse 2. Remember, we're talking about relationships. And the Bible says that each of us should please our neighbor for their good, to build them up. And so what Paul's doing is he's expounding on what Jesus said when someone asked him, they said, what's the greatest commandment? He said, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So the second commandment is just like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. He says, on these two commandments, all the law was written. In other words, everything we need to know. If we follow those two commands, we're great. So love your neighbor, and Paul says to please your neighbor. Build them up, edify them. Remember, we talked about the responsibility of believers to build each other up, to always be lifting up rather than tearing down. Well, that same responsibility carries over to our neighbor. And I want to talk about this because I can't cover it enough that we think, oh, our neighbor, that's the guy who's down on the street, who's homeless, and needs our help. You know what? You know who your neighbor is? It's the person right next door. For us, it's the school teacher that lives next door to us. Beyond that, it's Crystal and Matt. The young couple just had a baby. Over on the other side, we have Deborah, and we've got to learn her husband's name. They just moved into our neighborhood. My point is this. Know your neighbors. Minister to your neighbors. Be good to your neighbors. God has put you in a place where you can minister to those around you and you can change their lives with the gospel. Not that we're anything great of ourselves. No. We have a great message that we need to be taking to them. And we take it to them by being the hands and feet of Jesus. I had somebody tweet out something on Twitter yesterday, and they're putting out a film on Planned Parenthood, and yes, what they do is deplorable. But you know, we often get tied up in political and emotional issues, and we think if we can just fix those issues, our world is perfect. If there were no more abortion, if we had prayer in school, if we had the 10 Commandments every place, you know what changes the world? It's you and I fulfilling this verse and loving our neighbors as Christ would, being the hands and feet of Jesus. You want to change the world socially? You want to have an impact on the world? Impact your neighborhood. Go out to your neighbors and see how you can minister to them. That's what God's calling us to do as believers. The social issues will take care of themselves if we'll do what we're supposed to do and minister to our neighbors. Want to read the whole devotional? Go to the link at the bottom of the page. We'll see you tomorrow.